this has been the lineage from the left. It's been conservative Christian, conservative, Republican Party, alt-right, white nationalist, white supremacist, Nazi. This lineage, and they are all one and the same. They've used this alt-right umbrella term. So that's not lost on me. And it's become obnoxious. That's why people don't believe these stories when they happen. They don't believe it. Again, like you said, you have to do your research because you go, well, hold on a second. Is this a real story? Because I've been called a Nazi. Right. And then by those same people, I've then been called a filthy Jew.
It's true.
So it's hard to keep track. Yeah. I'm neither, by the way. Not Jewish. I don't mean I'm not a filthy Jew. Thinking about this story, if it feels as though this is a retread territory, if it feels as though you've been here before, you're going, what's going on with these white nationalists, white supremacists? It seems familiar. It's because we have been. They are much more similar to Antifa than they want to acknowledge. And I know I'm going to get so much flack for this, in the downvoted, I get it. Antifa saying, don't compare us to that fascist scum. And then the white nationalists saying, you're missing it, you open borders cuck. Neither of which are true. But Antifa and white nationalists are far more similar than, I think they have more in common than they have apart. And the rest of America is unfortunately caught in the crossfire. By the way, before I do this, let's make sure that both groups are completely disassociated from conservatives, and then separate from conservatives, even President Donald Trump.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal. We are equal in the eyes of our Creator. We are equal under the law, and we are equal under our Constitution.
And I think that was fantastic. That was very well said. Because that brings us to our first point, where Antifa and white nationalists are most alike. And by the way, I know white nationalists, some alt-right people, I'm making some generalizations here. I get that there are factions on both, so we are going to have to use a general rule. Number one, they have no regard for the law or the Constitution. They're both, they don't believe in peaceful assembly. No. If you look at it, it's been mob rule. And this isn't just a one-time thing, it's a pattern. They're both violent. You look at the anti-Trump protests, where there have been trash cans lit on fire, people have been assaulted repeatedly. You look at the Steve Scalise shooting, which was a Bernie supporting Antifa supporter. And of course, I think there was the Baton Rouge, that was Black Lives Matter, and they're kind of one and the same, so I'll give you that one. But the latest violent in Charlottesville on the white nationalist front. Okay. So clearly they're not really believing in rule of law. They don't understand the idea of peaceful assembly. Well, here's maybe why. They have no respect for the Constitution that Donald Trump just pointed out. Antifa doesn't believe in the First Amendment. They actively fight out against the First Amendment when it's anything they don't like. Like you see in Berkeley, they accused everyone of being Nazis, and now you have actual potential Nazis, and no one wants to listen to you anymore because you're a little boy who cried Nazi. So they don't believe in the First Amendment. Whereas white nationalists, when we address the Constitution, don't believe that all people were created equal. If you look at the Declaration of Independence, that's right in there. They don't believe that.
They all agree on one thing. Equality is a dangerous myth. The alt-right is united in rejecting the current dogma that all races are equal.
Now, I know people say he's alt-right. He's a white nationalist. So, no respect for the founding documents, the Constitution, or rule of law. They both have that in common. Now, that's not what conservatives believe. That's not a conservative idea. So that brings us to number two. Both of these groups promote identity politics, and both of them play the victim card to get their way. People are going to get so mad about this. I can see the white nationalists not liking this. How dare you? Well, Antifa, they do it through the things that we know, right? Privilege checking. They believe that we need segregated safe spaces. They believe that we need to have forced social reengineering. People need to be have mandatory sensitivity programs in schools, right? They want to repair the systemic racism, which has oppressed, insert minority here. It's the victim card all day long. Well, white nationalists promote identity politics for reasons that are obvious, and they claim that they're being persecuted. They claim that they're the victim of white genocide. Both of them use this victim card. Both of them. Now, let's not even necessarily get into the validity of those claims, just talking about the techniques that they use to try to get their way. That's how they set the premise in order to try and use what brings us to point number three. They both support and request big government liberal policies. That's it. We're victims, therefore we need, let's look on the Antifa side. The victims need what? reparations. They need big government. They need taxes. They need subsidies. They need affirmative action. They need welfare policies. They need bailouts, because this is the ruling class. We need big government to step in and help the lower classes. You know, the bottom 99%, 90%, 89%, 80%, 60%. Whoever makes less than you. How do the white nationalists solve their problems? Through big government economic protectionism. Again, social re-engineering, class organization. And as we're all aware, the far left, Antifa, they want single-payer health care. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
But so do white nationalists and the alt-right. They propose nationalized health care. Now, the only difference is that Antifa, they claim that it can be done by, what? Vilifying anyone wealthier than them. White nationalists claim they can do the nationalized health care plan by vilifying anyone less white than them. So they both want the same goal. They just say one says we can do it if we steal more crap. And then these folks say we can do it if we infringe on more people's rights who don't look like us. So these are the top 3 points where they have a lot in common, but there's a bonus round here. Of course, they both hate Jews. But when I say that, I mean they both want Israel wiped off the face of the map. And I don't mean that just in a kind of sort of. So let's get past the War of '67. Both the far left and the white nationalists, a lot of the alt-right, that extreme wing of it, have sided with Palestine in the current conflict. Now, I think this is important. You've talked about this a lot, Gerald. Here's where we are now. Let's get past the history, and there have been acts of brutality on both sides, and obviously this has just been a quagmire. Okay, let's give you that. But right now, today, Palestine is run by Hamas. In Hamas's current charter, they include the eradication of the Jews. By the way, not just Israel, the Jews, mind you. So I don't know how they plan to do that in Queens.
It's a tough place to start.
But they're inching their way forward. Yeah. So it'd be like someone saying to me, where someone says, well, if today the United States said Canada has no right to exist. So this is really all it is. If you are on the side of Palestine at this point, you don't believe that Israel has a right to exist. That's all I believe. They have a right to exist, period. Yeah. Hamas says they don't have a right to exist. For you to side with any of these governments lining up with Hamas against Israel, you don't even have to like Jews. You can find them annoying. You don't have to like their food. You just have to agree that they have the right to exist as human beings, okay? So to give you an example, let's say right now, the United States, Donald Trump said, Canada has no right to exist. Our goal is to eradicate the Canadians. And I said, hold on a second. I think that's wrong. I side with Canada on this one. Then someone says, well, are you pro-Trudeau? No, I'm not. I just think the Canadians have a right to not be suicide bombed. That's what we're talking about. You don't have to like the Jewish people. You just have to believe that they have the right to not be killed for being Jewish. So the top ways that the alt-right, the Antifa and the white nationalist side of alt-right. It's important, by the way, to note that this is not necessarily all of the alt-right, especially when the left wants to they want you to think of yours truly as alt-right. Sometimes Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Dave Gay, former Young Turks Rubin. So you let me know if there are any other comparisons that you think are valid or ones that you would like to see. Comment, send your tweets to us, and we'll be sure to pay close attention to every single one.
Hey, if you like this video, subscribe by clicking the button that says subscribe. If not, there's a strong chance that you're an Armenian genocide denier. Wink, wink. I think you know what I'm talking about. But head on over there if this isn't the channel for you. I'm sure you'll find something there that you deem very insightful and informative. Also, I request that you come back here afterward and immediately leave a negative comment, because we read those and those affect our lives directly. We care about them because we care about you.